Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. And today, as you can see, we are playing WWE 2K19, but I'm not actually playing 2K19. Dean is going to be running the background in a Royal Rumble match. But I'm going to be giving my thoughts on this week's WWE programming, AEW Dynamite. We're going to be running through and reviewing Monday Night Raw, SmackDown Live, AEW, and NXT this week. And this is something I've wanted to do for a very long time, is make a podcast talking about, well, my honest thoughts about WWE today and everything that's been going on, because as I've seen recently, wrestling fans have been very divided on the content WWE has been producing and the content that AEW is just beginning to produce. And it's very valid criticisms. I mean, WWE hasn't been the best recently, as a lot of you have probably seen. WWE has really struggled to provide good, consistent programming that hasn't been incredibly polarizing to the WWE universe. But nevertheless, I like WWE, I like AEW, and I think everything has its own unique appeal. And we're going to be talking today about everything that happened this week on Raw and SmackDown. So ladies and gentlemen, let us get started with Monday Night Raw, October 14th, 2019. It was the second night of the WWE Draft. And remember, night one of the WWE Draft, Monday Night Raw received the first pick, and they chose the man, Becky Lynch. Friday Night SmackDown with the second pick chose the big dog, Roman Reigns. Both of those two are going to be figureheads of the WWE going forward. And speaking of the man Becky Lynch, that is exactly how Monday Night Raw started off. Becky Lynch facing Charlotte Flair one-on-one. The winner of that match would receive the number one pick in that night's WWE Draft. Becky Lynch representing SmackDown Live, Charlotte Flair representing Monday Night Raw. And this was a very good match. Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair have great chemistry, a lot of chemistry. However, they have had better matches. We all know they've had great matches. We all know the chemistry these two have. This was nothing surprising. I mean, Becky and Charlotte put on a show, good little banger match to kick off Monday Night Raw. And this one went basically as expected. Becky Lynch defeating Charlotte Flair with a small package to get the 3 count. And that was really the only result you could have in this match, because as the rules, they stated on the rules, the first night of the draft, Monday Night Raw would receive 3 picks for every SmackDown's 2 picks. And so really you couldn't have Charlotte win here, because then it'd be really difficult to do 3 and 2 in terms of picks. And as each round tended to go, you had alternating picks, so Raw got the first pick, then SmackDown, then Raw, SmackDown again, Monday Night Raw, and then that will continue for every round. So as I said, Becky Lynch won the match, and this led to the first round of night 2 of the WWE Draft. And these picks, really no surprise. Monday Night Raw, with their top pick, chose the WWE Universal Champion Seth Rollins. SmackDown Live chose the Beast, the WWE Champion Brock Lesnar. Charlotte Flair was then drafted to Raw officially. The New Day drafted to SmackDown. And with the final pick of the first round, Monday Night Raw chose Andrade and Zelina Vega. Now there's been a lot of controversy surrounding the draft, in particular the order that many superstars were drafted, because there were a lot of superstars many people consider bigger stars and possibly even more talented than Andrade, but I don't I mean, I can question WWE's booking, but I don't know. It was funny. During the show, they showed all of the USA Network executives and Fox executives in the so-called war rooms, like cheering that they would get to these picks and get to these blockbuster draft picks, but in reality, they weren't that interesting. A lot of these picks, a lot of the superstars that were picked just stayed with their original brand, stayed with where they had been. That the superstar shakeup, I guess, or not the superstar shakeup, the wild card rule had blurred so many of the lines that it was just, this draft was very pointless. Just kind of really re-evaluated and re-established those lines. There weren't many side switches, many brand switches. But yeah, say what you want. Andrade is very, very talented. I hope he gets a great push on Monday Night Raw, and we'll see what happens going forward. But moving on, Monday Night Raw, next we saw actually Andrade take on Mustafa Ali in a great match. It was a little rushed because of how talented Andrade and Mustafa Ali can be together in the ring, but nevertheless, this was a good match, solid match, and which Monday Night Raw really needed. They really needed, after a not so good show last week, to say the least, they needed to come out strong with good matches and a strong hook for the audience, and I think Becky and Charlotte and Andrade and Ali was a great way to start things off. Moving on from there, we saw the second round of the draft for Monday Night Raw. Asuka and Kairi Sane, the first pick of the second round of Monday Night Raw. Daniel Bryan, drafted to SmackDown. Rusev to Raw. Bayley to SmackDown, the new SmackDown Women's Champion. And Alistair Black to Monday Night Raw. After that round, we led into the Raw Tag Team Championship match. Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler versus the Viking Raiders for the Raw Tag Team Championship. And this was a great match. The Viking Raiders earned this opportunity, earned a shot at the Raw Tag Team titles, and all their hard work paid off as we have new Raw Tag Team Champions. The Viking Raiders defeated Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler to win the Raw Tag Team titles. And this match, while it may not have been as good, I personally don't think it was as good as last week's match that these two teams had together, but it was expected. I think it was the right call. And do I think the Viking Raiders will be the team to revitalize the Raw Tag Team title belts? No. I personally don't. I don't think that those belts have been so mishandled and devalued that I don't think there's any team that could revitalize them. But do I think that the title reign for the Viking Raiders will be entertaining? Yes, I do. Will it provide great matches? Absolutely. All of the tag teams WWE are capable of providing great matches. It's just whether WWE lets them do their thing or not. Moving on from there, we saw the third round of the WWE Draft for Monday Night Raw. We saw Cedric Alexander drafted to Raw Intercontinental Champion Shinsuke Nakamura, with Sami Zayn drafted to SmackDown. Humberto Carrillo drafted to Raw, Mustafa Ali to SmackDown, and Eric Rowan drafted to Monday Night Raw. That led into Alistair Black versus Eric Young. Just this match did not really do much. It was a very short match, more of a showcase for Monday Night Raw's newest pick, Alistair Black. But I think with how little WWE has seemed to value Alistair Black and how little he's been showcased, this match had very little effect on the audience. And honestly, I love Alistair Black. He's a great wrestler, but WWE has a lot of work to do if they want to revitalize his character. And I mean, he spent so many weeks just sitting in that room looking to pick a fight with somebody, and dude, just go out to the ring and go get a match. And he did that, but A, it was too little too late, I think, and B, was Eric Young. Nobody gave Eric Young a chance to win this match, and I think that to revitalize a character, you have to have him have some sort of chance of losing, have it be some sort of entertaining match, and that was not what we got here. But nevertheless, Alistair Black looks great, and I hope he has a bright future on Raw, which I don't know. I don't know what to expect. Like, honestly, we always say, oh, I hope this Superstar A or Superstar B gets a good push on this show. That they won't necessarily. WWE has to learn to book stars for that, and do I have the faith that they can do that they can build Alistair Black into being a legitimate star? Frankly, no. Frankly, I don't know what to expect, but we'll see going forward. Next up, round 4 of the WWE Draft on Monday Night Raw. Saw Buddy Murphy drafted to Raw. Now former Raw Tag Team Champions Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode drafted to SmackDown. Jinder Mahal to Raw, Carmella to SmackDown, and R-Truth to Raw. Now, this is where a lot of controversy started with the draft, because this round saw Jinder Mahal drafted ahead of superstars like Samoa Joe, King of the Ring, Baron Corbin, Rey Mysterio, The Miz, and like come on, this is not hard to figure out. Rey Mysterio, former world champion. Samoa Joe, former United States champion. Miz, former world champion. King Corbin, like Money in the Bank. Like, where I fail to see the logic here, because while I understand wanting a superstar like Jinder Mahal, former world champion, on your brand, but in terms of wrestling ability and star power, he doesn't provide that. Like, yes, Jinder Mahal was WWE champion, but that was in one of the most failed title runs in WWE in a long time. So, I don't know WWE's logic here. I don't know where they're going with this, but the draft order was very perplexing, and I think they had to do something to change them after the first night because of the whole controversy with them releasing the draft order on the website, because somebody in WWE didn't mix up the names, and so Monday Night Raw switched things up. But regardless, I'm going to move ahead here a little bit, skip a few things in the show. Ricochet and Shelton Benjamin had a great little match. Ricochet always looks great. Shelton Benjamin, a great opponent for Ricochet. I wish they used Shelton Benjamin more. I wish they would pair back up Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable. I think those two could have been an incredible tag team. I think those two could have been a legitimate multiple-time tag team champions if given the chance. But they were split up in the Superstar Shakeup, and neither of them has seen as much success since. I counter that by saying Chad Gable did have a great run in King of the Ring, but the whole Shorty Gable name change has completely derailed that, and I don't see Gable recovering from that for a while. I think that's a horrible name change. Like, at first it was just a meme, that was the whole building heat for Corbin to call Chad Gable Shorty Gable, but come on, WWE, don't change his name. Like, that's just stupid. There's no other word for it. It's just stupid. WWE, please change his name back to Chad Gable. This is an Olympian we're talking about here. Olympian, former tag team champion. Like, come on. Just, if you want to build him into a legitimate star, give him a push. Don't call him Shorty Gable. Or now, I guess, even after SmackDown, which we'll get to, Shorty G. Even Shorty G, like, WWE has found a way to ruin Chad Gable's name twice, which is not surprising for where the company's at, but still incredible nonetheless that they've been able to do that. Anyway, we're skipping ahead. Tyson Fury, Braun Strowman had a face-off. Nobody cares about this match. I'm sorry. Tyson Fury's kind of cool, I guess. Not really. It's match happening at Crown Jewel. Tyson Fury is going to win. Like, Braun Strowman is the guy that they can build up to have a big match with somebody at a big show. They can build him up to have, I guess, not necessarily a big match, but a more banter match, a more celebrity match, somebody big two big guys going up against each other, and I don't see anything happening here other than I see Tyson Fury winning. Like, I don't see WWE having any care in the world for having Braun Strowman win this match, because they could just build him up and reheat Braun Strowman to have a world title feud next week. Like, that's what they did with Seth at Clash of Champions, but now, yeah, he's just facing Tyson Fury, and it's probably not going to be a great match, but we'll see what happens. I do want to talk for a minute about Buddy Murphy versus Cedric Alexander on Monday Night Raw. The best match on Monday Night Raw by far. By far on Monday Night Raw. So, these two are great workers. Cedric Alexander has had a series of great matches with AJ Styles. Buddy Murphy had those two incredible matches a few months ago on SmackDown with Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan. And boy, these two are amazing. Like, I watched this match and I was just blown away, because this was in terms of WWE matches, this was only like a 3.5, 4-star match in the span of like 7, 8, 10 minutes, but like on a world stage, this isn't a great match. I totally get that. AEW has produced a lot of better matches than this, but for WWE to give these two men a decent amount of time to work and do their thing was a great showcase for them. Buddy Murphy will be awesome. Has been awesome for several months. Needed a good showcase here. Cedric Alexander will be great on Raw. And actually, both these guys on Raw? I can't remember what I said. Yes, Buddy Murphy is on Raw and Cedric Alexander on Raw as well. So I hope these two have a feud, honestly, leading up to maybe a pay-per-view pre-show match, maybe. Something like maybe a pre-show Survivor Series as part of like Team Raw and Team SmackDown, something like that. I don't know. We'll see where it goes from there. Next up, Kabuki Warriors versus Natalya and Lacey Evans. Now, the match, I'm just going to say the match was fine. It was good for what it was. But I want to talk for a minute about this pairing of Natalya and Lacey Evans. WWE, this is Booking 101. You had last week or 2 weeks ago, I can't remember, Raw's all blurred together at this point, but you had 2 weeks ago, I'm going to say, Natalya powerbomb Lacey Evans off the stage through a table to win a last woman standing match. And now you turn right around and make them all pally-pally, best of friends, a tag team against the Kabuki Warriors, your women's tag team champions. Like, I don't understand this, because this should have been simple. You had Natalya and Lacey Evans feud for 2 months, over 2 months. And now you're just going to throw them together suddenly in a tag team. Like, you're throwing together two people nobody cared about that had a feud that nobody cared about. Like, and plus, Natalya's on Raw, Lacey Evans is on SmackDown. Why are they teaming up on Raw? Because, they'll be split apart, so it doesn't really matter what we do. Yes, it does. Like, even though these two are on separate brands, have some sort of storyline continuity. Like, in any form. I know that's asking a lot, because WWE can't really do that. They haven't proven that they can do that. But I don't know where to go with this. Anyway, Kabuki Warriors won. They look good. They're heels. Asuka and Kairi Sane. Asuka, believable heel. Kairi Sane, I mean, just looking at her, she doesn't look like a believable heel. Like, she's small and she's adorable as a person, and like, do I buy her as a heel? Not necessarily. By herself. With Asuka, maybe. They can pass as heels. The whole green mist thing that Asuka's doing now, I love it. I think it works well for her character as a heel, and honestly, it's something I think WWE needed to bring back more, or sooner than they did. But it's back, it works, and I look forward to seeing how it's used in the coming weeks. Now, let's get to the meat of this. Let's get to the interesting stuff. the main event closing show angle of Monday Night Raw. Earlier in the night, we had an interview with Universal Champion Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins said he was going Fiend hunting. Now, this comes after that debacle that was Hell in a Cell a couple weeks ago, that disastrous main event referee stoppage finish that everybody with half a brain can see why that's a problem. Everybody with half a brain can see why that is stupid. And here, they are trying to get Seth Rollins over still as the top babyface on Raw, and it is not working. Let's talk about this main event for a minute before I rant about this. Seth Rollins finds Bray Wyatt in the Firefly Funhouse. Starts beating up Bray Wyatt, beating up and throwing the puppets, Rambling Rabbit, and just throwing everybody all over the place. And Seth knocks down Bray Wyatt. Bray stands up, looks at Seth, just pleading with Seth. Seth, please stop. Why are you doing this to me? And Seth Rollins, being the absolute dick that he is, I'm sorry to say that, but yes, he is, just hits Bray Wyatt, throws him out of the funhouse, turns sort of to the camera, but not really, and says, very menacingly, says, "Burn it down." So lame. Like, because the fans have so much hate for Seth Rollins right now, this line did nothing. Like, this was a terrible use, terribly nerdy, terribly geeky for Seth Rollins. Like, this is WWE. This is your top babyface. This is the man you have made the top guy, the man you pushed to the top when Roman Reigns left to battle leukemia. And now you put the title on him. You had him beat Brock Lesnar twice. But those are the only two good things Seth has done as Universal Champion. Both of Seth's title reigns peaked the nights he won it. Seth is a two-time Universal Champion. And both of his title runs have gone downhill since he beat Brock at WrestleMania and SummerSlam. Like, Seth's first Universal title run, he had a feud with AJ Styles, which was great. His feud with AJ Styles was good, and his match with AJ at Money in the Bank was great. But then you had him feud for 2 months with Baron Corbin, and then team with Becky Lynch when she was facing Lacey Evans. Now, I get that WWE wants to market the fact and tell the fact that Seth and Becky are a couple, and I can even be okay with them using that on TV. Here's my problem with that. Don't make it geeky. Like, those two had the worst promos together. Like, Becky lost a lot of her cool edge. Seth lost all of his cool edge, any of which he had left. And then, at Extreme Rules, that match, that mixed tag went over so poorly that they had to have Brock cash in and take the title just to sort of recover Seth for SummerSlam. And now, Seth won at SummerSlam, faced Braun Strowman in a match nobody cared about. Nobody thought Braun was going to win. And now, then he came and faced The Fiend. Now, this match, the Hell in a Cell match between The Fiend and Seth Rollins, was a mistake to begin with. The Fiend was pushed too fast into the title picture. But here's what my thing. If WWE was never going to put the title on Wyatt, then don't put him in the match. If they went into Hell in a Cell with any sort of thought that they were going to put the title on Bray, great, that's fine. But then execute it. They did not execute it at Hell in a Cell, and Seth came away looking terrible, hated by the majority of the WWE Universe. They have booed him out of the building on every time he's shown up since. He has gotten boos. Nobody wants to see him face The Fiend at Crown Jewel. Nobody wants The Fiend to be buried like he's being buried right now. And yeah, so Seth Rollins, long story short, is going to face The Fiend at crown jewel for the Universal Championship in a Falls Count Anywhere match. Now, WWE announced either yesterday or today that this match cannot be stopped for any reason. Okay, so isn't that the Hell in a Cell match, though? Like, Hell in a Cell match should never be stopped for any reason. Like, and especially if you think about the Bray Wyatt character, like, the ref stopped the match to check on Bray Wyatt, not even thinking for once that this Fiend is such a supernatural entity that he could have been faking it, trying to lure Seth into a trap and take the title. Like, what about The Undertaker? Like, The Undertaker is literally called the Dead Man. And his gimmick is that in the middle of his matches, he'll be knocked down, be lying in the middle of the ring, not moving, unresponsive, and then immediately just sit up, power courses through his veins, and he takes down his opponents. The Fiend was doing the same thing. The Fiend was playing possum, he was down, luring Seth into a trap to take the Universal Championship, and the ref stopped the match. Now, Hell in a Cell killed the Fiend. It killed your top champion, Seth Rollins. So you're going to take the two characters that you killed the most and put them in a match together again. At a pay-per-view nobody wants to watch in Crown Jewel. I don't understand. I don't get WWE's booking. I don't know where they're going with this. But the Fiend cannot lose again. If the Fiend loses again, that is it. He will not be legitimate. He will not be a contender. His aura will be gone if he loses Seth Rollins. And what makes this match more complicated is the fact that Seth is on Raw and the Fiend was drafted to SmackDown. So that right there should indicate that the Fiend is not going to win. But WWE, in their infinite wisdom, had to book another match. Because apparently they thought by our outrage in the ending of Hell in a Cell that we wanted another match. No, we didn't want another match. What we wanted was acknowledgement from WWE saying that they messed up. That they screwed up the main event of Hell in a Cell. And if anything, they should have had the Fiend come out on Raw, squash Seth, and take the title. And even if that does happen at Crown Jewel, why would they do that? Because they have Brock Lesnar, the WWE Champion, on SmackDown for Fox, and you can't have both world champions on one show, and WWE should not be breaking their own draft rules if they have the Fiend to suddenly come back to Raw after being drafted to SmackDown. So WWE has once again booked themselves into a corner with this, and honestly, I don't know where they go with this. But my predictions for Crown Jewel is, unfortunately, Seth's going to win. Seth's going to have the Fiend down for a 10 count, clean as a whistle. And when he comes back on Raw the next Monday, he is going to be booed more than anybody on that roster. And WWE have done that to themselves. It's unfortunate, but that's what's going to happen. And I honestly don't know how this happened. It was so easy to book it. You had the Fiend go over at Hell in a Cell, and that's it. But it didn't happen that way. And here we are. So yeah, that's Monday Night Raw. I'm actually going to end it there. My review of Monday Night Raw for this week. My review for AEW and NXT will be coming out shortly. My review for SmackDown will be coming out shortly as well. Overall grade for Monday Night Raw, a B, B-, somewhere in there. Okay show with good matches and a pointless draft and a terrible ending segment. So I'm going to give it a go B- because of how bad the draft was and pointless it was, and that horrendous main event segment. So, but yeah, that is my thoughts on Monday Night Raw this week. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. As you saw in the Royal Rumble, Roman Reigns won the Royal Rumble. That was playing in the background behind me, and because Roman always wins, which is fine. I love Roman. Roman Reigns is my favorite superstar in WWE. He's the man that got me into WWE when he was the champion and feuding with AJ Styles. That's when I got into wrestling. And so yeah, that's what I have to say. Roman Reigns won the Royal Rumble and is cooler in the game right now than Seth Rollins is in real life as Universal Champion. So that's saying something. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for watching. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Like this video, share with your friends, subscribe. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you soon with my reviews of the Wednesday Night War and Friday Night SmackDown. This is Caleb Henson, signing off.